Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing the Lupita honey processed Honduras from Upper Left Coffee Roasters. And there's the cup right there. And Upper Left, based out of Portland, Oregon. And let me go ahead and introduce the video series that we're going to be doing for this week, as a lot of people have been wanting us to bring back our individual cup reviews from cafes. We're currently down in Portland, and it does give us the opportunity to discuss 5 of our favorite coffee shops and coffee roasters in the city. And very much looking forward to discussing that. We're going to rework our previous model and have it kind of mirror our current review system. So that way it's a little bit more objective, and hopefully this works better for us and you guys as well. Please let us know your thoughts on this model as a whole. So let's go ahead and start discussing this coffee. And Upper Left, we would describe them probably as a light medium American for the roast profile. And the cafe themselves, they had one drip option and then they had one pour over option. And they were both this exact same Lupita. And my thinking is they're really trying to emphasize this coffee right here. And that's not too surprising given that this right here is a more unique offering. I don't think we actually have a honey processed Honduras on our channel. And the variety is a Perenima. So it's that kind of unique variety that's been really fun to discuss this entire year. Now, I did write down some notes before we started recording this video in our Brandywine notebook right here, including our tasting wheel. So we'll get to that shortly. But the flavor notes I believe they had listed on here were a hibiscus, a white grape, and a honey. And the best way I could kind of describe this coffee is it reminds me of a ever so slightly chocolate covered raisin. And there is a fair bit of the kind of more herbal floral that's coming from it, and we've discussed that a lot pertaining to hibiscus like coffees. And in addition to that, the honey, yeah, definitely present. It's a little bit more of that dark honey, but it's very much in this cup as well. But I think the most defining characteristic that I'm experiencing from this is a slightly more dark chocolate covered raisin. So let's go ahead and put up that tasting wheel so you can see what we were getting. All right, and we have several level 4s, so the things we must discuss the most, the finish at a level 4. Yeah, definitely, this has a little bit more of a lasting finish. As it has cooled down, it's definitely toned down that initial kind of slight booziness, which did remind me a bit of wine, but that's not too surprising given that they have that grape note listed on here. Florals, it is a pretty floral cup of coffee, and it's a little bit, as mentioned, kind of more of this herbal floral, and that's why we have some things as like the spice at a level 3 as well. But the rest of the level 4s we have the chocolate and the berry fruit, and we discussed that real briefly, that it does remind me most of a kind of dark chocolate covered raisin, so that's why those are at the level 4. But let's run through the rest. Sweetness level 3, it's not necessarily the sweetest cup of coffee, but it's probably on the higher side of that 3, probably a lower side of the 4, but just felt it was better suited for that 3. It's a little bit of acidic cup of coffee, but as it has cooled down, you've definitely lost that kind of initial strong acidity that was coming from it. A slight bit of saltiness, a little bit of citrus as well in this cup. The caramel, we'd mentioned ever so slight kind of darker honey component in this cup as well. Pretty heavy bodied, and I think that's probably on the higher side of that 3, could even bump that one up to a 4. Not the cleanest cup of coffee. That's a little bit to be expected given the initial impression that we had of this coffee. But again, as it has cooled down and has become a significantly better cup of coffee. Citrus level 3, there's a fair bit of citrus actually that I was getting from here as well, and that seems to be common with that variety, the Perenima. I get so much citrus from that variety as a whole. Anything else worth noting? I think that's basically it. So my overall thoughts and impressions of this coffee, I mean, it wasn't my first choice, being completely honest. They've definitely served me some more unique offerings in the past that I've enjoyed a lot more than this one. So I don't necessarily think this is my favorite representation of this coffee roaster, but even then it's a cup of coffee that will probably be unique relative to the rest of the coffees I'm going to be having while I'm here in Portland. So for that reason, it does stand out on its own as being probably just a little unique and different, and that's always an enjoyable experience, even if this one wasn't necessarily my favorite coffee. Type of person I would suggest this coffee to is I think just kind of keep that very distinct. It does have that ever so slight kind of winey like component to it at the initial stages, but as it has cooled down, you're getting a lot more of this kind of richer, full-bodied, chocolatey experience, and that lends itself to being to the more slightly traditional drinker. And I know a lot of traditional drinkers as well have really enjoyed that ever so slight grape, as they call it. I considered it a little bit more raisin in this cup of coffee. So I think that's the best person I can suggest this coffee to, and I think this is the way I will leave this review. If you by chance had an opportunity to try anything from Upper Left, would love to know your thoughts and impressions of them as well. If you're enjoying the content, if you like this video series, then give this video a like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. But this right here has been a review of the Lupita honey processed Honduras from Upper Left Coffee Roasters. Thank you for watching.